Bruchim Habayim, Rabotai. Welcome to another Tuesday night class. Tonight, we are going to try and begin a journey from within the synagogue to elevate ourselves beyond the nature of the world. You never thought that was possible, but I hope to prove my point before the night's over. 45 days after the Jews, Bnei Israel, come out of Mitzrayim, Borei Olam brings them to Midbar Sinai, to the desert by Mount Sinai, to accept the Torah. The Torah that really existed many, many light years before the world was even created. As the rabbis teach us, Istakel be'oraita ubara alma. Borei Olam looked in the Torah, and that was the guidelines from which within it he created the entire world. Borei Olam comes to Moshe and tells him that the tachlit, the purpose, the ultimate goal of Yetziat Mitzrayim was and is Kabbalat Torah. And without Kabbalat Torah, then the slavery that they had in Egypt is just going to transfer to a different form of slavery somewhere else, which is the deep understanding that the rabbis teach us of what Chazal mean when they write En ben chorim ela mi she'osek b'Torah. There's no true free man besides for the one who studies Torah. What does that mean? We're all free. We live in a democracy, or at least we'd like to believe so. This is what it means. That Borei Olam comes to Moshe and tells him, I took them out of the slavery of Egypt in order to give them the Torah. If they accept the Torah, beautiful. And if not, so there was no point in taking them out. So now we can transfer them into a different situation. Am Yisrael are not just willing to accept the Torah, they're eager to accept the Torah. When Moshe Rabbeinu presents his case that God wants to give them the Torah, they answer him the famous words, Na'aseh v'nishma. Before they even ask what the conditions are, what it entails, whether it's hard or not, right away they say, we trust God, and if this is what He says is good for us, we will do, and only then we will listen. Very, very high level. A level that was the continuation of the level of the miracle of Yetziat Mitzrayim, that by Yetziat Mitzrayim they saw God on the highest level of prophecy. Ra'ata shivcha al hayam, ma shelo ra'a Yechezkel ben Buzi. Even the Navi, the prophet Yechezkel, that saw such clear visions of God in prophecy, the simplest person amongst the Jewish nation, by Yetziat Mitzrayim, was able to see a higher level than Yechezkel reached. But Or HaChaim HaKadosh explains that Am Yisrael wasn't ready yet to accept the Torah. Because in order to accept the Torah, a person has to be pure. Torah, unlike many other subjects, is not another topic that we study in school. We have a science period, and a biology, and a chemistry, and this one, and that one, and a Gemara period. Sometimes I get the chills when I hear from the youngsters that they say, you know, my favorite period in school is, I don't know, history. And I'm like, what other periods do you have? And in the same sentence, they say, chemistry, this, that, and Gemara. There's no comparison, there's no parallel, there's no similarity, there's nothing at all. More than that, the Gaon Mivilna wrote a book, a commentary on a book. There is a Kabbalah book called Safra de Tzniuta. That's the real depths of the Kabbalah. And the Gaon wrote a Pirush on Safra de Tzniuta. Now that Pirush I can't really teach because I don't even understand Safra de Tzniuta. So the commentary on Safra de Tzniuta, definitely I don't understand. But to try, I wanted to try. So this far I got, that he wrote a Hagdama, like a preface, to his commentary on Safra de Tzniuta. And in there, the Gaon writes these words. All the chokhmot of all the goyim in the entire history, meaning all their sciences and everything they have together, can be learned from the Torah. We don't have to go to the other places to get the knowledge, but actually within the Torah itself, all that knowledge already exists much before. For example, let's start in medicine. Today some of us chose to go and get a vaccine for the swine flu. Vaccines are common things. Certain things are even a requirement. When foreigners want to get a green card and later on become citizens of the United States, it's a mandatory requirement that they have to get certain vaccines in order to get that far. The concepts of vaccines in medicine, in modern medicine, is less than a 200-year-old story. But the truth is, we give credit, for example, to the treatment for rabies, to Louis Pasteur, we give to other vaccines, to other scientists, each one takes credit. But with all due respect to all these goyim, and chokhmah b'goyim ta'amin, the Gemara says, they have a lot of wisdom and we respect them for their wisdom. The Gemara itself talks about it. Close to 2,000 years ago, the Gemara writes an incident. Misha nashcho kelev shoteh, somebody who a rabid dog bit him. So what do? He's going to die. Ma'achilim oto, we feed him, michatzar hakaved shelo, from a piece of that dog that bit him itself, a piece of its liver. And if you think about it, it makes no sense. Here he got the disease from the dog. What are you going to do? Give him more of the same dog? You're just going to kill him? What's the answer? We vaccinate him. The Tanaim and the Amoraim from the Chokhmah of the Torah 2,000 years ago already knew what vaccines were. So really, if the scientists were completely intellectually honest today, they would give credit to where credit's deserved. I remember once attending in Babson University some sort of finance course. And there they were giving a award to a gentleman who came up with some of the amendments in the bankruptcy laws. What happens was, people were going bankrupt right and left. And they own some sort of assets, or their companies that are going bankrupt own assets, but their debt is so much greater than what they actually have. And now the fights start. Who gets the money? Whatever is left. Let's say the guy has 100 million outstanding, and he got buildings worth 20 million. So now what do? It's not enough to cover. So you go to court, and then there's an arbitrator, and the arbitrator gets paid first out of the settlement, so now from 20 million it went down to 15 million, and so on and so forth. But there is a professor who came up with some sort of strategy, which part of it is adapted into amendments in bankruptcy law, that he was rewarded $1 million prize for coming up with. And what he said is this, is based on the amount of the claim in proportion to the claim of debt, the payout goes. For example, if this guy that has 100 million outstanding owes 5 people money, to one he owes 50 million, then to 3 he owes 10 million, to the other one he owes 20 million, so the one who he owes 50 million will get half of the 20 million that's there. The one who he owns 10 million to will get in proportion. Each person in proportion to the size of their debt will get the amount that they deserve. And this was supposed to be some sort of financial brilliance that everybody was impressed by, including myself, until my 6-year-old son at the time tells me, "Dad, what's the big deal? I knew that theory before." And I'm looking at him, he's 6 years old, come on, there got to be a limit. And he says, "It's a Mishnah. It's the first Mishnah I ever learned." I said, "What Mishnah?" He says, "The Mishnah in Bava Metzia, the first Mishnah, talks about what happens when somebody finds a Metzia, a lost object, and there are 2 people that claim that the object is theirs." So the Mishnah says like this. If 2 guys say, "Ze omer kula sheli, v'ze omer kula sheli," they both say the whole thing is mine, so then yachloku, we cut it 50-50, they each get half. But im ze omer kula sheli, one says the whole thing is mine, v'ze omer chetzia sheli, and the other one says only half of it's mine, so then we give 3/4 to the one who says it's all mine, and 1/4 to the one who says that it's half mine. Because based on the extent of the claim, we divide the equity that's there. I said, wait a second, where's my $1 million for my 6-year-old? That'll secure his future. Meaning the chokhmah of the Torah is infinite. There's no way to describe the extent of the chokhmah. This is what the Gaon writes. He says all the chokhmot, and all the languages, and everything that's going to happen in history, down to the last detail. And if I'm not mistaken, the words are even the discussions that the dogs have between themselves. Meaning the most minute detail in history. It clearly says within the Torah, just we have to be wise enough and wear the right gear, the right glasses, and the right mind in order to see within the Torah what it says. Interesting. Based on this Gaon, there is a concept which has two popular versions of it. One that today is rarely done, the other one that's still done. One of them is called Goral Hagra, and the other one is called, or nicknamed, even though it's not the source of it, Goral Achida. What do these things mean? What a Goral Hagra is, without getting into all the extent of it, and this is the one that's not really done, because the Gaon writes that if you do it and you're not worthy of asking such questions, it can harm you. So people, even the great rabbis today are scared to do this. Is a person has a question. And it's a question that in logic there is no answer. Could be this way, could be that way. And it's a serious life decision. We don't know what to do. We're not sure what the right way to go is. So he could, if in the times of the Bet Mikdash, he would ask the Kohen, they would ask the Urim V'Tumim. But today we're not lucky enough. We don't have the Kohen and the Urim V'Tumim to ask. So there's a new way to do it. We ask the Torah. What does that mean, you ask the Torah? So this is what the Gaon came up with. There's a system of how to do it. It goes by numbers that are divisible by 7. But you open a Tanakh to a certain point, and then you do whatever the system of counting is. We won't elaborate now because it doesn't really make a difference. And at the end of this system, assuming that the person who's doing it is righteous and the proper prayers and kavanot were done, there will be a clear answer on the page in the Torah of what to do in the situation. The more popular one, which is used today, is nicknamed Goral Achida because the Chida discusses it, but in reality it's a thing that in the Kadmonim already did this. Same idea. Meshech Chochmah also talks about it. It says, Im yesh lecha she'ela, if you have a question, lech tishal et HaTorah. Go ask the Torah. How does that work? So the simple thing is, they take a Tanakh, purposely a Tanakh, and the person prays in the merit of the tzaddikim and everything else, so on and so forth, that God should send them the right answer to his question. And then they open up randomly without looking or figuring out the Tanakh, and the right side of the right page, the right side, the top 2 lines within it should say a clear answer. And not everybody's zochet to get that answer. But those who have the merit really see wonderful things. Many times, myself, when I had to make decisions in life of things that didn't apply to me, there was big decisions. Do you go speak in this synagogue or in a different one? In this situation or that one? All different things that can affect the lives of the community. So we, on the guidance of my rabbis, have used this. Up to the point of, I had a situation where I was invited to speak somewhere. This goes back a while. And my wife didn't feel that I should go. She said, I don't know, you're going to go there, you were never there before, I don't feel comfortable, maybe it's not such a good idea. Yeah, go, no go, I didn't know what to do. So I called up the rabbi, and the rabbi said, ask the Torah. So we did it. And this speech was supposed to be on a Monday night. And we opened up the Tanakh, and the psukim that came out, the words were, Vatir'ad haaretz, and the ground is going to shake. And I got scared and I didn't go. And Monday night they had an earthquake. Unbelievable. Where does this come from? The koach, the power, and the chokhmah that it has within the Torah is beyond anything. There's no way to explain even. And Chachamim gave a koach to us who study Torah and want to be involved with the Torah to get out of there the answers that sometimes we need. Of course, it's not magic tricks, and we don't randomly try, and people ask questions for no reason. It's not a safe thing either. I remember, this one maybe is a little bit embarrassing, but I was booked to go speak somewhere, or they called me for a booking to go somewhere. And I had a very close student who was almost like my child, who his wife was due, or overdue. And he, no matter what, insisted that if he has a baby boy, I should sit sandak. And I wasn't sure, like, what's more important, because on one hand, this kid, I followed him through all his steps of life. And to him, for me not to be there is a trauma. On the other hand, a class, Torah, for the public, to be mevatel is not a simple thing, it's a responsibility. So what do? Do you go there or not? So I said, but wait a second. He never found out if he's having a boy or a girl. So as it is, it's only a 50-50, maybe it's a girl. Second of all, even if it's a boy, who says the brit's going to come out exactly the same time? It may, based on what's going on, and it was talking about going to Israel, so it's a 3-day trip, but still, who says? So I decided my first thing I have to find out if it's a boy or a girl. So I called the guy up and I said, do me a favor, ask the doctor, whatever, and tell me, and based on that I have to make a decision. So he tells me, his wife said that she doesn't want some superstition of Ayin Hara, whatever, she doesn't want to know. She doesn't want anybody to find out. So I couldn't do it. So a friend of mine who's very close to me, who helps me out, says, what's the big deal? Ask the Tanakh, and you'll get an answer. I was skeptical, but I said, you know what, let me try. So I did the thing, I said the prayer, and I opened up the Tanakh, and this is what came out. Lama zet tishal, why are you asking for no reason things? And since then, I think 300 times before I ask a question. I was petrified for days after that. Turned out she had a girl anyway, so we were able to go to Israel. Where does this come from? So this is really where I said we're going to elevate ourselves beyond the nature. Istakel be'oraita ubara alma. Borei Olam looked in the Torah and created the world. What does that mean? That in the Torah is the blueprint of the world. The Torah has a power that's beyond the nature of the world. So from whatever part of us could connect with the Torah, we can now elevate ourselves beyond the nature of the world. For example, the Gemara says, Kol ha'osek b'Torah nechasav matzlichim. If somebody views his primary business as the Torah and his secondary business as his business, then his business will do well. He'll be financially prosperous. Now that's a high level to attain. And I'll explain you on a very simple reason why. My uncle Abba Shalom used to always say, if a guy has a big company and it's a busy month, and his friend, even a good friend, is making a Brit Milah that day and they're making a big Seudah and everything, what's he going to do? He'll go to Shacharit. If he's lucky and the Moel came on time and the Sandak came on time, he'll stay maybe for the Brit Milah, leave a nice check and run to the office. He's not going to sit there 3 hours, he has to be in the office. No way. We make our Brit Milahs very early in the morning and everything to accommodate, because 8 o'clock everybody got to run to the city. He says, and what if the guy has a Torah class at 8 o'clock in the morning? Is he also going to run away from the party, or then maybe it's not so bad? So if a person's primary business is the Torah and his secondary business is his company, so then the Torah class is the primary deal, so that you don't miss no matter what. The secondary class, the secondary business is the other deal. So, okay, if you have a big company and a small one, you protect your big one first. That's the bracha we make every morning. We make the bracha, but we don't always realize what we're blessing. La'asok b'divrei Torah. It doesn't say lilmod Torah, to study Torah. It doesn't say lahavin et Torah, to understand the Torah. It says la'asok, to make it an esek, a business. This should be the primary. Even if a person has to be at work 8 hours a day and Torah, he can only study 5 minutes a day. But that 5 minutes that he does study, that can't stop no matter what. A gentleman in Yerushalayim, who I don't know personally, but I got to know him through a relative of mine, shared with me a phenomenal story on Saturday night. And he told me, we were talking and I realized right away he's a popular figure in Israel. So I knew that he must have good stories. I said, give me a good one. So he tells me, I'll share with you a wonderful story. He has a Torah class that he gives every week. And for years, I'm talking about maybe 15 years straight already, he's giving the same class. And one night, a relative of his, close relative of his, is marrying off their daughter. And he's invited to the wedding. And not only that, he's the rabbi of the family. He's the most religious and he's a rabbi, Talmid Chacham. So he's asked, they request from him that he should marry off the young couple. And he tells them, listen, there's only one way I could do it. I say a Torah class in Ramat Gan, and my class starts at 8 o'clock. Your wedding is going to be in Jerusalem. So if the chuppah is going to be either after 10:30 at night or before 6 o'clock in the evening, then I could do it. Because then I'll do the chuppah and I'll run to the class right away. It takes an hour and 15 minutes, whatever it is to drive. I'll make them both. But if the chuppah is going to be 7:30, 8 o'clock, like most chuppot are in Israel, there's no way I could do it. I'm not going to cancel the class. And his relative got insulted, and it wasn't a pleasant situation, and you're the rabbi, and why should we have to hire a foreigner if it's you, and this and that. And he said, if the problem is hiring, I'll pay. But to destroy my kviyut, he says, forget about me. What about all the other people that attend the class? What's it their fault that there's a wedding? So then he said, but if you want to have a third choice. I said, what's the third choice? He said, if you invite all the members of the class to the wedding and you designate a private room where I could give the class, so then I'm willing to, then we could work both out. It doesn't contradict. That they didn't agree to. Now, believe it or not, some people do agree to that. I have a friend, today he lives in Muncie, who was a student of the great Rosh Yeshiva who recently passed away here in Flatbush, Shmuel Birnbaum, Zchuto Yagen Aleinu Amen, who called the Rosh Yeshiva and asked him to marry him off. And the Rosh Yeshiva said that he has a thing that he gives in the yeshiva that night. And then he said, but if you want, I'm willing to make you a deal. If you invite the entire yeshiva and by your wedding we stop for an hour so I can give my class, then I agree. I'll be there and I'll marry you off. And that's exactly the way it was. It was the most beautiful wedding I ever attended in my life. There was a chuppah, and then instead of immediately after the chuppah selling our souls to a DJ, they went into a room, and lahavdil elef alfei avdalot, they went and studied an hour of Torah. What a beautiful way to start off a life. What an amazing way to start off a life. What blessing comes down to such a home that was founded on the purity of the true wedding, our wedding with Borei Olam when we accepted the Torah. Unbelievable. So that's the importance of the kviyut, the esek of the Torah. But this Torah, in order to make it an esek, we have to understand and appreciate what it is. So of course it's easy to say, it's so smart, it's so deep. Yeah, that's all beautiful, but it's a lot more than that. This is Borei Olam's Torah, and that we can never forget. To bring out what that means in a much clearer way, I got to share with you a story. A close friend and a very big donor of mine calls me at the beginning of the week, and he tells me that he wants to take a few months off of work. And I'm already excited. Who knows? Maybe he wants to come to the yeshiva to study with us or something. Why not? But that wasn't the reason. He says, listen, we ain't our money we're making. And I'm not starving for bread or anything close to it. And I figured I've had a stressful few months. I'll go on vacation a little bit. I'm broken from all this stress. It's not for me. I'm going to take it easy a little bit. And so I won't make money for a few months or whatever. I'll make a little money. Who cares? It doesn't make a difference. So I said, so what are you calling me to share this news for me for? He says, number one, you're my friend, so I wanted to share my feelings. And number two, maybe, if I'm not making new money, so then obviously I'm not going to be able to donate as much either. So I said, okay, if you're asking me on a personal level, God sends me my donations. I don't need you. If not you, somebody else, whoever it is. By me, it's whoever wants, it's his merit. And if he doesn't want, no thank you. We don't ask, we don't pressure. That's not the issue at all. I said, if it's the other rabbis, then you got to ask them what they feel about it. I said, but you can't ask a rabbi who you're funding what to do about funding because he's biased. It's silly to ask me what I think about money that you give me my organization. It doesn't make any sense. Ask a neutral rabbi who has nothing to do with the situation and see what he says. He says, okay, rabbi, so I'm telling you, I'm cutting off. You're not getting money. Now you're neutral. You're not biased anymore. So now answer me what you think. I was happy actually when he said that. Because I said, Hashem cuts one, sends another. But at the end he's going to come back. So now I'll gain two. So what did I lose? I gained from it. So I tell him like this. I said, I want to share with you a story that my Rosh Yeshiva told me when I was very young. I think I was 12 years old. I was in high school. And it was about a month before my bar mitzvah. And I wanted to take a few weeks off in preparation of my bar mitzvah. Oldest child, my father's a big rabbi, who knows how many people were going to attend, this was going to have to be a whole performance. So I needed time to get ready, to Kriyat Torah, and to buy the perfect clothes, and there were a lot more than one function, I needed a bunch of speeches to give. Takes time. So I went to Rosh Yeshiva and I told him, listen, you know I'm the youngest here in the high school by a couple of years at least, if not more. And it's my bar mitzvah. And it's coming up and I got to prepare and this and that. Somewhere between 2 and 3 weeks I want to take off. And he says, and what are you going to do while you take off? I thought I'll pray a little bit, Kriyat Torah, I'll prepare speeches, and I'll go shopping with my mom, I'll buy stuff, my family's coming in from Israel, I'll spend time with them. He says, but you're going to miss so many hours of studying Torah in the yeshiva? I said, okay, I have a whole life to study. So he tells me, first of all, you have any life insurance policy that guarantees that you have a whole life to study? Who says? Maybe not. Today you know you could study. Who says what's going to be tomorrow? I said, Rabbi, I'm too young, don't scare me. Okay, so he smiles at me, and he says, sometimes the truth is scary. What should we do? You have to know the truth anyway. And then he tells me this. He says he wants to share with me a story, and this was my answer to this wonderful gentleman who called me at the beginning of the week. There was a rabbi. His name was Reb Chaim Brisker. And he had a student who was studying in the yeshiva. And at a certain point, the guy got burnt out. He studied a lot for many years, and he wanted to quit already. He lost his desire to sit a full day and study. So he went to the Rosh Yeshiva to notify him that he's leaving the yeshiva and to thank him for all the good years. So Reb Chaim Brisker asks him, why are you leaving? So he says, listen, I ran out of gas. I need to recharge my batteries. I'll leave for a couple of years and hopefully then I'll recharge. He says, okay. He says, and based on what do you have the guts to make that decision? Who made that decision for you? Which Gadol, which Torah giant made that decision? He says, what do you mean? It's my life and I choose what I do in my life. And then he justifies it even more. You see that God gave us Bechira Chofshit, freedom of choice. So this is what I choose to do. So Reb Chaim looks at him and says, you're right, it's your life. And God gave you Bechira, and you have the right to choose. There's no doubt about it. But I have a different question for you. He says, would you drive down a local side street on a one-way against the one-way 120 miles an hour? No. Why not? Because it's against the law. You could afford the ticket. It's not the end of the world. So what's the problem? That you're endangering lives. So your choice to do something silly is affecting other people. And that's irresponsible. You're not allowed to do that. Do we agree? He says, yeah. He says, so now I got $1 million question for you. Chazal, the rabbis teach us, Kol ha'osek b'Torah, when somebody's studying Torah, Shechina oseket kenegdo, Borei Olam kavyachol sitting right beside us, across from us, and studying Torah with us. Tonight, when we sit together in our kviyut every Tuesday to study Torah, not only am I happen to be sitting in this direction so you could see me and I could see you, no, that's the minor part of the detail. Borei Olam himself comes down from Kisei HaKavod and sits together with us and studies Torah with us. You hear what a level this is? God, Borei Olam from heaven comes down, sits together with us and studies the Torah together with us. He says that you want to close your Gemara is your free choice. Freedom of choice, it's a democracy, everybody could do what he wants. But what gives you the right to close God's Gemara? He's your study partner. What gives you the right to close his Talmud? That's not your free choice. That affects other people. The kid heard this, ran back to the Bet Midrash, and ended up becoming one of the big poskim in Vilna later on. So I told this person, that you want to go and close your business for a while because of your mood or whatever it may be, or whatever's bothering you or is hard for you, I understand and I feel your pain, and if there's anything I could do to support you or help you, ad mesirut nefesh mamash, I'll go into the fire for you. But what gives the right to close the lives of thousands of kids that our programs are their lifeline to life? What gives the right to close the doors to 20, 30,000 hours of Torah a week that we spread around the world? That's not your free choice. I wouldn't stop it. He sends me today on the BlackBerry. I had a very good day, thank God. We'll spread more hours of Torah. The same thing applies when we understand what Torah is. It's the blueprint of the world. It's the study that when we study, God sits together with us and studies His Torah together with us. But it's more than that. In school, the Havdil Elef Alfei Havdalot, so we have first grade math, second grade math, third grade math, you're not going to take a Harvard student and give him a first grade math book. That's not going to work. It's a joke. You're not going to take a first grader and give him a Harvard textbook. That's definitely not going to work. It's even a bigger joke. It doesn't add up. There's only one chokhmah in the entire world. At the same exact book that my 3-year-old child studies with me, a 95-year-old man can sit and study a study partner with his great-great-grandchild. The same exact pasuk, the same exact text that one person can study, the other person can study. The Havdil, many times for Parnassah reasons, I got to go lecture in universities to Goyim about topics that interest them. So when you go to speak to the freshmen, you speak only to them. When you go to speak to the guys that are the professors, so you speak to them. You never have the whole university in one shot. It doesn't add up. Different people are studying different fields and they're on different levels. Ben Porat Yosef, tonight in this room alone, look around, this is the witness that shows what I'm saying is true. We have plenty of people that are under the age of 15 and people that are a little bit older than that too. And we can all listen to the same Torah. What is that? Only a blind man doesn't see from that alone how the Torah is God's lesson. Only Borei Olam that gave us our mind and our comprehension and our ability to understand and take apart information and analyze it can write the text of a book that will be appropriate for every person on every level and every situation in life. And will include in it all the chokhmot and all the history of the whole world. Chokhmat HaTorah. No, if that's the case, so the whole world should be studying Torah. Definitely all the Jews. So believe it or not, there are plenty of Goyim that study Torah. I'm in close contact. I consider him a close friend. A gentleman who's a Goy, professor in a university, who knows almost the whole Shas in the Art Scroll version by heart. Not inside, by heart. A Goy. Now, I don't teach him. You're not allowed to teach a Goy Torah. But on his own, he bought the set, and he tells me sometimes he'll sit 5 or 6 hours straight studying one piece. Because he says, I don't have any words to explain the brilliance that I see in every word over there. Okay, but the Goyim, when we get done with the Jews, we'll start going to the Goyim. Let's first start with the Jews. And I think by the time we get done with the Jews, Mashiach will be here, so there'll be no reason, no opportunity to go to the Goyim. But we have an unlimited wisdom. The only thing is, we have to taste it. Ta'amu u're'u ki tov Hashem. If let's say I like drinking scotch, and you bought a new bottle of scotch for a lot of money, it's something rare, unbelievable. Single malt, a lot of years, and this and that. As perfect as could be. You call me up and say, Rabbi, come to my house tonight, it's worth it for you. Why? I got a 45-year-old single malt. I said, what, you tasted it yet? Yeah. What does it taste like? And you start describing me like this, with this there, deep, and not the, all the terminology. I'm sorry, I'm a little ignorant, I don't know these things. Am I going to know what it tastes like? No, I heard nice words, it sounds good, but I'm not going to know. There's only one way for me to know, to come and to taste it. Same thing with Torah. We could talk about Torah and the importance of Torah and this and that. But until a person doesn't actually get the Torah taught to him on the way that he needs to hear it, if you get the Torah in a different language than what you need to hear, it's not going to help either. But with the love and the message and everything else that he needs to hear it, it's a nice theory, but he's never going to know how good it is. It's only after a person goes and indulges completely into it and gets the flavor of the Torah that he really needs, then he can understand what it means. Ta'amu re'u, we should taste ki tov Hashem. But because the Torah is Kodesh, is pure, so something pure doesn't go into something not pure. It doesn't stick. The chemicals have a bad reaction. They blow up. It doesn't work. So either the Torah makes a person pure, that's what the Gemara teaches us, barati yetzer hara, barati lo Torah tavlin, against the power of the yetzer hara, there's only one solution, Torah. Or the Torah doesn't dwell in a person. Many people study Torah and it didn't make a difference to them. I remember, this is shocking and embarrassing in a way, but I remember this clearly. I had a roommate in yeshiva when I was 16 years old. He was a few years older than me, he was 20. And brilliant, he had an IQ, I don't even know how to describe it. And Shabbat afternoon, he would sit on the porch of my apartment with a Gemara. While we all went to nap, he would study the whole afternoon, but smoking a cigarette. On Shabbat. The yeshiva didn't throw him out because they were hoping one day he'll change. Today, Lo Aleinu, he lives in some kibbutz. During the day, he's with horses and then cows and I don't know what else. And once I went to visit him because I thought maybe I'll bring him closer. He got older, he got more mature. And I told him, that you don't want to keep Shabbat is wrong, but okay, I understand, you have a tava. That you do all the averot is wrong, but okay, you have a tava. But you love Torah so much. How could it be that you left? It doesn't make any sense to me. And he says, who says I left? I said, what does that mean? And he takes me into behind his bedroom. He has like a little study area. He has more Sfarim than I have in my house. All the walls covered, floor to ceiling. And then he says, what are you studying by you in the yeshiva? Then we were learning the second perek in Kiddushin. He opens up his folders. He takes out a book, this thick, maybe 75, 80 pages both sides, of his Kiddushin that he wrote on Kiddushin a few months ago when he learned it. He says, go through it, see what's there. How do you explain such a thing? When a person is so impure and has no intentions of becoming pure, so then the Torah, it doesn't do anything. Because at that point, he chooses to throw it away. So you could sit with a cigarette in the Gemara. That's why Chazal, Mishnah, and Pirkei Avot counts 48 memchet kinyanim shehat Torah niknet bahem. 48 conditions in order to be able to absorb the Torah inside. In order to know math, you don't need no conditions. You need a head and just focus and study and that's it, and you know it. The Torah is not math. There's no comparison. So if the Torah is God's message, so in order to understand God's message, we have to be equipped for the Torah to go into us. And in those kinyanim, it doesn't say he has a high IQ, he's highly intelligent, he graduated 4.0. No, it doesn't say any of that. It says completely different things. An example. Noseh be'ol im chavero. When his friend has a problem, he feels his friend's problem and he goes and does whatever he could to help him. What does that have to do with studying Torah? What that has to do is very simple. If the Torah is beyond the teva, the nature of the world, so a person has to elevate himself at least somewhat beyond the free way that people live, without any thought and without any care. So if he's not a person who cares, so how's he going to connect to such a message of eternity? It's never going to click. It's not going to go. Somebody asked me today on the phone that he's Hashem Yirachem V'Yatzil, he's dating a Goya. And he wants to come to my class. He wanted to come tonight, but on one condition. He says, I'm so attached to my girlfriend I can't leave her. He wants to bring the Goya together with him to the class. And she's very interested, he tells me, in Judaism and everything. He wants to bring the Goya. I said, don't come to the class and don't bring the Goya, don't do your own favors. So he tells me, what do you mean? Maybe she'll gain from it too, and she'll be impressed by rabbis and have a higher opinion of Jews. And she won't think that rabbis are bad people or whatever, I don't know, whatever story. I said, my friend, if I was teaching biochemistry, so I would say, bring it, tfaddal. When I give classes in science and medication and things like that, so I have plenty of goyim there. But I'm not teaching biochemistry now. We're studying together and Borei Olam is coming into the room. He's gonna vanish when he sees a goya in the room. We're not teaching a secular subject. He says, but maybe you'll convince it to convert. I said, yeah, conversion for the sake of marriage is fake anyway, so that doesn't count. So second of all, in our community, that's not accepted either way. But that's only if you understand that the Torah is wisdom beyond. But once we understand this message, now we can go further. There is a Gemara. A Gemara that tells us a very famous story. A story that many pages, hundreds of pages throughout the Jewish literature and history were written to explain the details of the story. The Gemara teaches us the story of the king who decided to throw 3 tzaddikim, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, into the fire. Why? Because they weren't willing to bow down to his nonsense. To say that he's whatever he thought it was, right? The Tanakh says there's a pasuk, he thought he was God. Or at least he wanted to think so. Nope. What's going on? So Gemara says a story. That what happened is they could have gotten away if they wanted to. They just didn't have to show up. All the nations of the world went that day to crown him as a king. So if the Jews weren't there, it wouldn't be the end of the world. Why did they show up anyway, knowing that they're risking their lives? So the rabbis explain. Rosh Fadron in his book Lev Shalom brings it down from previous rabbis, that they were scared. Listen to what they were scared of. At the next morning, on the headlines of the news, is going to say, all the nations of the world went and bowed down to Nebuchadnezzar. That's Chilul Hashem, because people are going to understand from that the Jews bowed down too. So even though they could have protected their lives, and even though they could have saved themselves, they went out of their way, they jeopardized their life after getting an answer from the Urim and Tumim that God is not going to save them like Avraham Avinu, and went and did not bow down. So the headlines should say, all the nations of the world bowed down except for the Jews. And not only won't it be a Chilul Hashem, it'll be a Kiddush Hashem. This is what they did. Where'd they learn this from? So the Midrash writes they learned it from the Tzfardeim, from the frogs. Just like the frogs in the 10 plagues in Egypt jumped into the ovens of Egypt and died, burnt. The ovens were hot on Kiddush Hashem. Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah learned from that if an animal listens to Borei Olam like that and makes a Kiddush Hashem, Kal Vachomer, us that are human and Talmidei Chachamim, Jews, definitely we should make a Kiddush Hashem. What happened over there? At the end there was a miracle. And they were saved. That's what the Gemara teaches us. When they were saved, they didn't come out right away. First, God wanted to make a little mockery out of Nebuchadnezzar. So he had them walk around, take a little walk inside the fire. They're in a fire that's burning for days. Instead of getting burnt to ashes in 30 seconds like they should have, they go on a little trip, a journey in the fire. Some people go to Florida, some people go to Cancun, some people go on a walk in the fire. That was their winter break. And the malachim, the angels, were protecting them in the fire that nothing should happen to them. Comes the Gemara and says that at the same time that happened, another thing happened. Amar lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Borei Olam comes to Yechezkel, the prophet Yechezkel, and tells him, Lech v'hachayeh metim b'bikat Dura. Those dead people that are in the valley, go do Tchiyat HaMetim, bring them back to life. And when they come back to life, let them go visit Nebuchadnezzar. We're talking about a huge number of people that were dead there. What happened? Yechezkel goes, does Tchiyat HaMetim, and these people that were dead and are now alive show up to Nebuchadnezzar, they pay tributes, a visit. And they tap him on the shoulder, Chazal say, and he asks, Ma tivan shelelu, who are these people? So they said, Yechezkel, the prophet of God, just went and was mechayeh metim, he brought them back to life. Comes the Gemara and says, at that point, he said, how great is this God, the real God of the world, who's able to take a dead person, the bones that were rotting in the valley, and bring him back to life, make him a real person. And then what did he do? He started saying Shirot v'Tishbachot, Tehillim. He composed his own Tehillim. That's what the Gemara says. I'm not exaggerating. And the Gemara says, Amar Rabbi Yitzchak. Rabbi Yitzchak writes, Yutzak zahav roteach l'toch piv shel oto rasha. Burning gold should be poured to burn the mouth of that evil person, who was a tameh, the Gemara calls him, an impure person. She'il maleh, listen to these words, She'il maleh, if not for the fact, lo ba malach v'sotro al piv, if an angel would have not came and hit him in his mouth, meaning stopped him from continuing composing his Te'ilim, bikesh leganot, kol shirot v'tishbachot she'amar David b'sefer Tehilim. His Tehillim was so powerful, his thanks and his praises to God was so strong, that it would have made a mockery out of David HaMelech's Tehillim. It would have made David HaMelech's Tehillim look small in comparison to the great Tehillim that he composed. Comes the angel and hits him in his mouth. Stops. And I got two questions that are not mine, the Sfarim all asked him. And these two questions scream from within the words of the Gemara. Number one, it's not fair. If he's composing a better Tehillim than David, let him do it. It's not fair to stop him. Why are you stopping him? It's not right. What happened to Bchira? Free will. He did Teshuvah. He's saying Shirot v'Tishbachot to God. It's not fair to stop him. Number two, if Borei Olam wanted to do Tchiyat HaMetim to these bones in the Bik'ah, why did it have to be exactly on that day at that time? Should have done maybe a week earlier, a week later. It would have been two different miracle stories. It would make the headlines twice. Even a bigger Kiddush Hashem would have came out of it. In order to answer these two questions, I want to ask a third question that I saw in a sefer called Imrei Chen on Parashat Yitro. He says, Nebuchadnezzar, he doesn't understand. If what inspired him to sing God's praises is the miracles, fool, you're seeing three people walking in the fire that you thought would die in 30 seconds, and they're laughing at you from within the flames. Who are these people? God's children. You don't see the biggest miracle in the world? That wasn't good enough? No, only when the dead came back to life from the Bik'ah, then he woke up. Let's sing Shirot v'Tishbachot. Why? Reb Chaim Zaitchik writes, in combined with the Maharal and with a little extra explanation from the Sefer Imrei Chen, a beauty. So Nebuchadnezzar was in denial. He thought he was in control of the world. He says, I'm God. Now he had a problem. Everybody's laughing at him. They said, we just crowned you as God, as the king of the world. And here, look, these three Jews that you made fun of, that you sent into the fire, are walking alive. So his whole cover of God just busted. His whole campaign just slapped him in the face in the biggest way. So what did he do? He told them, guys, don't worry about it. Let me tell you something. This is the only area that I'm not so powerful in, control over fire. But in everything else in the world, I'm in control over. Meaning, this Tameh, as the Gemara calls him, not only didn't wake up from the miracle he's seeing in front of his eyes, but used that to continue slapping God in the face with his kfirah. That's why the Gemara says his mouth should be burnt for the way he's talking. After that, comes Borei Olam and says, oh yeah, I'm only in control of the fire and not everything else. What happened to these bodies that are laying there in the Bik'ah? They became dust, nothing. What does it take to bring them back to life? To control the other three forces of the world. Water, fluid, blood, ruach, oxygen, and earth. A person comes from earth. Adam yisodo me'afar. We'll do Tchiyat HaMetim exactly now. And we'll send these dead people that come from the other three foundations of the world to visit you, Nebuchadnezzar. And in front of everybody, we'll show that not only are you not in control of the fire, you're not in control of anything else for that matter, and there is a God who controls all the forces of the world. When Nebuchadnezzar saw this, Now he's really in trouble. So this Rasha, instead of going and folding, goes and starts singing Shirot v'tishbachot to Hashem. What does he do? He turns around the situation. And he tells them, guys, I'm God's assistant. I sing such Shirot v'tishbachot because God's in me. We're together, we're one. And that's why he purposely composes the most beautiful Shirot v'tishbachot, because the better the Shirot v'tishbachot would be, the more he thinks he has a case to cover up for the mockery that God just made out of him. And this is what he does. Comes the angel and tells him, you fool. Faith is not tested when everything's good and all the nations of the world are bowing down to you. Faith is not tested when life is beautiful and you see God present in every step of the way. That means nothing. You have nothing to do with God. Ba malach v'sotro al piv. Came the angel, he didn't stop him. He just gave him a big slap in the face that it should hurt a little bit. He said, now that it hurts, now that you're in pain, will you still sing Shirot v'tishbachot? Or now you're upset at Borei Olam? Why did God do this to me? Now that you're suffering and struggling, is Borei Olam still the one who you praise anyway? Or now you're done? Nebuchadnezzar stopped. Came God and said, he didn't come close to David HaMelech. When did King David write the Tehillim? Mizmor leDavid, bibarcho mipnei Abshalom beno. When he was running away from his own child that came to destroy his life. When he was in the worst situation in the world. There's nothing more painful to a parent than a child that hits them in the face. In that terrible situation, instead of complaining, instead of saying, why is this happening to me? Over there, he sang Shirot v'tishbachot Hashem. Over there, he praised God and said, God, I thank you for the good days, and I thank you even more for the bad days. Because whatever you do is for the good. And if I don't see it, the problem is by me, not by you. That Nebuchadnezzar couldn't live up to. That's the Zahav Roteach. When the gold is there and it's fit nice, it's very easy to talk. When the gold is burning hot in your mouth, then you don't talk anymore. But where do we get strength from? To sing Shirot v'tishbachot to Borei Olam in such a situation? That's not human. The human instincts are, when it hurts, I'm upset. There's only one way. Istakel be'oraita ubara alma. When we understand that we're a makeup from the sketch of the Torah, when we understand that God made that drawing, that sketch in the Torah of exactly the way the world should be, and exactly every detail of history, and exactly every occurrence that happens to us throughout life. And when we connect with this Torah and it elevates us above the nature of the world, then it's possible, even in the darkest moment, in the darkest time. Zmirot hayuli chukecha, David HaMelech writes. To sing the praises of God, to be grateful for every word, to thank Hashem for the opportunity and the privilege that we have for every mitzvah we get to keep every day. But that's only when we're higher than the nations. Based on that, we understand, before the Torah writes the Aseret HaDibrot in the parasha, God comes and tells Am Yisrael, Veheyitem li segula mikol ha'amim. What's segula? Something special. Something that's beyond. Something that's elevated. Am Yisrael, you should know that by accepting the Torah, you're no longer human. You're in a human body, and you have power, and you live a life that's elevated beyond the regular human life. When we see so many nisim v'niflaot happening today, every single day, even in our worst day, there's so many miracles around us. When we see the great chachamim of our generation that have the powers to change sidrei abriya, a person today was sick and tomorrow he's healthy. Today, everything upside down, to turn the world upside down. We say, wow, unbelievable. It's not such a wow. Thank God for it, but it's not such a wow. They're beyond the nature of the world. To them, the nature is not a factor. Because when a person makes him and the Torah one, so now he becomes part of the Torah. And nature doesn't control the Torah. The Torah controls the nature. That's where the koach comes from. I want to end off, tonight I really cheated you. Normally we have more stories. Next week I'll pay you back. That'll be a motivation to show up. No, after tonight with the Kviyut Tima Torah, I don't think anybody's going to miss it, right? But I got to share with you a story. A classic, I call it. A guy comes to me and tells me he doesn't have a job. And I should pray for him that he should find a job. And not just a job with his demands. Six figures is not enough. They need a high six figures and this, with all these requirements. So I asked him if he thinks I control the world or what exactly is going through his mind. No, pray. I said, do you pray for yourself too? He shies away. So I said, number one, pray for yourself. So number two, what are you doing all day if you don't have a job? He says, whatever. I play a little golf. He says, my golf game's getting a lot better now. And I go to the gym. And he has a six-pack. You could do mathematical equations on his chest already. It's so perfect. And what else? I forgot what else he told me. The whole thing, this is his day more or less. I said, and v'torah mateheh, what about the Torah? He says, I think he said Wednesday night or something, I go to some class for 45 minutes. That's my Torah. I said, very interesting. Borei Olam gives you 60 minutes an hour, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you have nothing to do with the time. And out of all those minutes of the whole week, the only thing you found for him is 45 minutes? I said, come on, you're better than that. You're a great guy. Let's be real. He says, you know what, you have a point, I didn't think about it. I said, I got a good solution for you. Take upon yourself to study 3 hours a day of Torah, and I promise you within a week you're going to find a job. And a good job, with all your requirements. He says, within a week? I said, within a week. How do you know? I said, first of all, if you came to me, that means you believe I know, so how do you know? I said, but if you want to know, I'll tell you how I know. This is not a miracle. Just the opposite, it's the opposite of a miracle. So he says, what do you mean? It's the biggest miracle in the world. I said, no. Not only is it not a miracle, it's the opposite of a miracle. He says, what do you mean? I said, very simple. Now you're doing nothing all day. So who's your boss? The Yetzer Hara. Who's your full-time employer? The Yetzer Hara, because you're wasting your life away. You're going to start learning 3-4 hours a day Torah. Who's going to get upset? The Yetzer Hara. He's going to say, wait a second, I got to get him away from the Gemara. How am I going to get him away? I'll get him a job. He'll be busy at work. He won't be able to learn 3-4 hours a day. Now you want to hear the best part of it? He went to the kollel here in one of the other synagogues. They study in the afternoon, the rabbis, whatever. And he figured he'll sit there, and hopefully one of the rabbis will teach him a little bit. His first day in the kollel, on his BlackBerry gets an email that one of his resumes he sent out is accepted. The next morning, a job interview. Didn't even take a week. When he got the job, I called him and I told him, Tzaddik, sit down right now, I got to talk to you emergency. He says, what? I said, this was a nice joke to get you a job. But now I want you to promise that no matter what, you're going to study 3 hours Torah a day anyway. And he says, there's not enough hours in the day. How many hours do you work? 8. Another hour of commuting, 9. Where's the rest of the hours? I got to sleep. I said, how many hours does he sleep? You're a grown man. How many hours do you sleep? I don't know, 5.5, 6, 6.5. I said, okay, let's round it off, 7. Okay, I said, we're still only at 16 hours. What about the rest? I got to eat, I got to sleep, I got to go to the gym, I got to do this, I got to eat this time, to sleep this time, to go to the gym this time, to go out with friends this time, to go out to drink this time, to go out, for everything this time. But Borei Olam, you're last on the list. I said, that I can't accept. I said, if you want job security, just like I got you the job, listen to me, study 3 hours Torah. I said, and I'll give you a trick. You have half an hour you drive to work, put in a CD. Half an hour back from work, put in a CD. That's an hour right there. You have an hour lunch break, instead of sitting and watching on the internet clips on, I don't know, wherever you are, go onto one of the websites, watch another class. That's 2 hours Torah, and that's within your 9 hours. And 1 more hour to go at night to one of the classes of the local rabbis. What could be better? The guy sticks to it every single week, no matter what, every day. Every day he sticks to it. Unbelievable. Where does this come from? My point is this. Chaim Volozhin writes that when the Yetzer Hara sees that a person wants to study Torah, he'll do anything in the world to stop. He'll get a flat tire on the way to the class, and then a cop will stop him to give him a ticket for no seatbelt, and the ride won't show up, and the car won't start, and this and that, and exactly then the mother needs help, and the grandmother is this one, and that. All the stories and all the excuses are only going to happen at 8:45 on Tuesday night. That's the Yetzer Hara. Because for the Yetzer Hara, the only thing he's scared of, he's not scared of us doing mitzvot, because that's all within nature, and nature he's good at. He knows how to fight us. The thing that he's scared of, that gives him the knockout when he loses the battle, is an hour Torah. That he's petrified of. He can't deal with that. So he will turn the nature around just to stop a person from coming to study Torah. Ashrenu shezachinu, how lucky we are, how blessed we are to have been zochet to accept the Torah. How blessed we will be this week to stand in the synagogue and hear once again the Aseret HaDibrot in our own version of Mount Sinai and accept the Torah again. And most of all, to you wonderful Kahal Kadosh, how lucky we all are to be zochet together to make a Kiddush Hashem week after week again here in SLC and study an hour of Torah. Thank you for listening. Bruchim to you.